Welcome back to another episode of Boleros Emergency Podcast, by the way. Ano ba to, Gab? Maui, every week na lang meron tayong emergency podcast, ha? Um, Good for us, good for our content. We've got another coaching update. Just like last week, Bal David, the coach of the UST Growling Tigers, has just resigned after one season with UST and after just one win, diba? They won the first game, lost the rest of the season. So he ends his very short stint as UST coach with a 113 record. Today we're going to talk about our initial reactions and thoughts, and maybe talk about a little bit about our some speculation on what's happening with the UST. So let's start with you, Gab. Initial reaction mo lang on Bal David suddenly stepping down as the UST coach.
Uh, for me, this is the most unexpected coaching change so far in the off season. We've had Derek Pumaren and then and then also Naracela stepping down from FEU. But this is the most unexpected because unlike those two, this UST team had no expectations. Diba? I think it's fair to say LaSalle had very big expectations for season 85, which were not met. FEU also had some lofty expectations. They've been to the Final Four for eight straight seasons. They were hoping to make the Final Four again or perhaps contend for a title, but they didn't do that. Ito si Bal David, what fucking expectations did he himself or did anyone have? He had a shit roster. He had one guy. Or, sige, one and a half. Isama mo si Adama Faye. But, he had no one. Well, what were the expectations on Bal David for season 85? Oh, yeah, 1 in 13. But, they were lucky to even get one win. In my opinion. Diba? Yung win na yun versus Adamson, swerte yan eh. Nung first game.
First game, nagulat
So,
Adamson.
Superhuman game by Caballero.
Yeah. So, I don't if it's true that he resigned, parang bakit? Diba? I really think it's quoted as a resignation, but I think he was let go.
We'll get there. Anything you want to add, Maui?
Yeah, I think it's USC has been a circus talaga since Aldin Ayo left. I think this is another chapter of that journey. Another coaching change for UST. No stability. I would probably be looking at Nick Caballero. What is he probably thinking right now with another coaching change? But yeah, we'll see.
Actually, medyo you jump to it, no, Maui. So let's go to the speculation part, no. I just want to go to Maui first since nabanggit mo na. What does this mean for Nick Caballero? Or do you think one of the reasons why Bal David resigned is because something is going to happen with his players? I don't know. What do you think? Like, ikaw Maui, kasi I wanna ask you kasi ikaw yung laging nagsasabi nito, 'di ba? Na parang, "Oh, watch out, Nick Caballero. Frustrated na 'yan. Could jump ship," ganyan. What do you think? Just if you're Nick Caballero and you see this news.
I think it's two perspectives probably if you're talking about what probably Nick Caballero is thinking. One is the worst possible scenario na wala pa rin stability yung UST and they're scrambling again, similar to last off-season when they hired Bal David with 2 months to go before the season. I hope it's not this. UST, much like FEU, is a school that we expect to contend every year. They have a very storied UAAP history. I'm hoping that yung second perspective naman is the one that's true. Rumors are circulating that the SMC group might be involved with UST after their successful run with Letran. Letran just won the first three-peat in NCAA since San Beda, I think in the early 2000s with Sammy Lim. But yeah, I'm hoping that it's the second. Hopefully, USC has a backing of a bigger, like an institution like San Miguel. If I'm Nick Caballero, I try to be positive, and hopefully the firing of Bal David is the first step into them really looking for more answers and getting those answers this off season. Kasi another season, another losing season, I don't think Nick Caballero can take it. It's gonna be his third year. And you see players leaving like Carl Tamayo and RJ Barrientos. So I really, USC has to give him an incentive to stay. If they still are a bottom dweller team, I don't think it's gonna last.
Okay. So nabanggit mo no yung rumors, and we've talked about it in previous podcasts about SMC having some interest in UST. So Gab, what do you think is happening here? Bal David resigns, and alam ko meron kang sarili mong sort of theory, and I think it in some articles, I think Spin released their article already. They've already mentioned a possible coach. Who's the possible replacement for Bal David in your perspective?
Uh, I think it's Pido again. I mean, he just resigned from Northport. It's interesting that Maui talked about San Miguel. San Miguel owns Northport anyway. They're the farm team. so, so, sakto. Yung coach ng Northport, yung nag-resign. So, maybe, I think, if they're still being run by the same old heads in the past, I think they'd want to go back and do a Lasal, go back to Lasal went back to Derek Pumaren, perhaps bring back the glory days. Maybe UST wants to bring back the glory days. Maybe Pido can give him that spark. But for me, I just want to go back my thoughts on Bal David lang talaga. I think this is very unfortunate. Yung gaya nga sabi ni Mami, yung gaya nga sabi ni Maui, ang gulo nito. I always preach about culture, diba? And
Yes.
you gotta at least gotta give Bal David a chance, diba? Or at least if he resign, maybe give himself a chance to build the culture, develop players. UST is very young. They have diba sabi nga natin palagi, they have a lot of name players, mga Duremdes, Laure, yung mga legacy players, yung very young guys. So, I wish lang they kept him for more than just one season. 3 years, 4 years.
Three? Yeah,
See,
usually three.
yeah, see how they develop. Diba, sa NBA, we see this all the time. When teams tank, they don't fire their coach after one tanking season. Diba? You're expected to lose. And UST is rebuilding. They're expected to lose. And you want to build towards something. This is just another I think the UST management or the top brass in their athletics program is just trying to fast track. Parang gusto daw yung mabilisan. O sige, magkakita tayo ulit ni bagong coach. Baka manalo tayo. Hire a new coach. Let's see if he gets us to the Final Four, to back to winning. That's not the way I mean, diba? Not everyone can do what Tab Baldwin, unfortunately. Diba? Not everyone has the magic hand of Tab Baldwin instantly build a championship team. And to me, this is just unfortunate. But yeah, my bet to coach this team is probably Pido. I mean, he has the pedigree. He's an alumnus of the school.
And he has the SMC connection, no? He's well connected
SMC
to the San
connection
Miguel.
with Northport. So yun, pare. Ako, this is just a sad development. I just wish they could have kept Bal David longer. And ikaw mismo nagsabi nun sa Sam, diba, nung in the season, that you liked how Bal David carried himself, despite losing a lot, a lot of mistakes by players, very cool-headed, talks to his players a lot. Di siya sumisigaw. He doesn't reprimand as much. He knows na this teaching thing eh. He knows
Yeah.
that he has to teach. So, I don't know. I would have wanted to see him stay. Ikaw, Sam.
Uh, I think it's very shocking. I agree with you. Probably the most shocking coaching change or coaching news that we've heard so far. Yeah, as you mentioned, I was so high on Bal David's coaching during the previous season just because alam mo na, they were scrappy. To be fair to UST, they were a very young team, but they were scrappy. They really fought, and as you mentioned nga, I noticed how Bal David really tried to let his players learn from the experience. I mean, they weren't really expected to win against most of the teams, but I mean, they caught Adamson by surprise. Yun pa lang, parang for me, is an achievement na eh. So, you've always said this, Gab. People can go back to that episode where we talked about UE. I think the same thing applies this time for UST. The first thing that if you really want to rebuild, the first thing that you need to do is create a culture, sabi mo nga, no? And it seemed like they were heading in the right direction with Bal David. Unfortunately, it's another, they're hitting the reset button or the restart button again. I was looking through the spin article. Yun nga, no? So obviously, Coach Pido is the top target because of the connection with SMC. So I guess for me, the one thing that I do want to add, and maybe this is one of the trends that we missed. Remember, Gab, when we talked about trends, uh, it seems like the trend now for UAAP teams is really to get like a big sponsor uh, or a big partner that can help finance your team. No,
Pera-pera.
for real. Seryoso,
Pera.
'di ba?
Yeah,
Kasi
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
in
it's true.
in
It's
in
true. It's true.
Agree.
in the past it was always just Ateneo and Lasal, 'di ba? Ateneo with MVP, Lasal with the Coangcos. And then UP comes NU yung una, pumasok si Henry C, and they brought the championship. They built a competitive team. Before Henry C came in, they weren't that competitive. When Henry C came in, they built a competitive team and brought the championship. Um, After that, I would say si UP naman, the Rubinas, and actually si Governor Remulla now are helping them, no, or financing them. And look what you've got, 'di ba? You built another championship team. I think that's the next step for UST. It's on top of the culture na sinasabi mo, Gab. They really need someone that can help finance them and make them competitive, especially when it comes to recruiting players. Because uh, let's admit it, 'di ba? Parang money talks. So we'll see. Um, we'll see if SMC will really step in. I was reading, as I mentioned, I was reading the Spin article. I think they were trying to join nung season 85 pa lang, but the talks didn't. I think the negotiations didn't push through. That's when they hired Bal David. So I feel like, just like what Gab said and what everybody else is saying, this is a sign of things to come. Yun, that's it for me. Anything else you want to add before
It's an
I
interesting
like my
point you
last
brought
question?
up, Sam. It's an interesting point you brought up about the sponsors and stuff to finance. Uh, Maybe this is a topic for a separate episode, but there has to be some sort of transparency when it comes to spending by these athletic or basketball programs, to be specific.
We
Honestly,
all know
we're all
it's probably not
yeah, we all know,
legal,
but
but
it
I don't know.
it's pretty interesting, diba? I think a lot of our subscribers have brought it up also, especially those from other schools na who see all the top recruits go to UP, Ateneo, Lasal, the big spenders. And it's a very interesting question because how are you gonna level the playing field? Because this is we're not. This is not a pro league. We don't pay players. Diba? That that's the interesting part, man. I'm interested to know your thoughts on this. Maybe in future episodes,
Yeah,
not today. Will
definitely.
focus on Bal David, but it's very interesting. No, it's an interesting trend, Sam. But I don't think it's the right way to go, personally. And I'm coming from a school that's backed by one of the richest persons in the Philippines, in Manny V.
Hmm.
Pangilinan. And I really think that that shouldn't be the case. Na just because a school is rich, they're able to pay players or give benefits to these recruits more than other schools who can't pay as much, which is I think is crazy. I don't know, it's a different discussion.
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
yung let's
yeah.
not go
Sige,
into it
that's a
tayo.
different podcast altogether. Baka sobrang mag-tangent na tayo. But I guess before we end, no, sabi mo nga, Gab, napaka-shocking nung news na to. And sobrang dami ng coaching changes since what? A month after, a little over a month after the end of the UAAP. Um, Other than obviously UST hiring their next coach, is this finally the last coaching change that we're going to see before the start of season 86? What do you think, Maui or Gab?
Si Maui muna,
Probably,
Maui.
I think probably it's probably the last one that we can expect. But who knows? Who of us expected Bal David to resign as coach of UST? But I think on another note, I think yung trend talaga ng UAP is changing. You see in our podcast we have so many breaking news. This is not the case for most seasons of the UAAP. And I think it's connected with what RJ Abarrientos and SJ Belangel did. Players starting to leave early, players not deciding to finish the 5 year program or 4 or 5 year program from their schools will really reach another level of mayhem. It used to be that when you get a prize recruit, you'd be good for the next 4 or 5 years. Now it's the different case. Rumors for UP is that LeBron Lopez is only playing for a year. I'm not surprised. So yeah, I think the coaching changes, the personal changes, and the players deciding to transfer schools it's the off season of the UAP is really a mayhem right now, and I think moving forward it will probably be right like that, especially given Carl Tamay's decision to also not finish his 5 years in UP. That's on another note.
I would be shocked if there is another coaching change. I would be shocked. Yun, let's put it at that. Yun lang. Eh,
Medyo medyo pagod na tayo sa coaching change. Iba naman, recruits or whatever, let's go. But thank you to the UAAP gods for giving us more content. We're always happy to do itong breaking news natin for all the subscribers, no, and fans. So, I guess that's it for us. I think we've talked way too much about this. Um don't forget to comment what you think, what's happening, any speculation, any ideas, any rumors that you've heard about what's happening, what's going on with UST, and share and share and subscribe. Ask your friends to subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Road to 1K. Please help us out. Thank you once
Thank
again.
you.
Good night. See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.